Good morning. Today is Thursday, April 1st. We are on part 9 of the miracles of Jesus Christ. Today we celebrate Maundy, Thursday. To refresh your memories, yesterday we were at the River Jordan and my mom and my sister and many of our group were baptized and I took pictures so that you understand where we're going next. We are going to the Valley of Armageddon. Dear Diary, we left the Jordan River with most of our crew back in their day clothes, but with wet heads. We're heading to Bet Shean to see the old Roman city in ruins, and there's a slight rain. We get an early start to the Valley of Armageddon, to the excavation site of Tel Megiddo and King Ahab's palace. It's up on a high hill. My mom didn't do the tour, neither did about 6 others of our group because we're told ahead of time there's over 500 steps. You're in a tight, narrow, almost cave-like corridor most of the time. There's no passing each other. You start it, you finish it. There's no going back. We heard how Deborah the prophetess had been in the valley, which we will see when we get to the top of this ruined palace. This is where she fought against Sisera and his evil band of Syrians, and the woman won. One man in our group named Richard has us all in stitches, and then he almost took a terrible tumble down the tight, steep steps himself because he was trying to walk backwards while he was talking to the rest of us. He's a hoot. He also dawdles. You see, Richard is a caver. He loves to go caving. He's in his 70s, but that hasn't stopped him. But because there's so many tourists daily that try to get through the site, the guides want you to keep moving. And Richard's making that almost impossible with his enthusiasm over every tiny coffin-like corridor we get to next. With his love of caving well noted, it's hard to keep him pushing forward. So our Pastor Mark finally said to the guy at the very end of our group, whose name was Steve, "Steve, you're the rearward guard. Keep Richard moving forward." Well, the funny thing is, Pastor Mark couldn't have picked a worse guy, because Steve, who is well over 6'2" or 6'3", is also a dawdler. He's in no rush. He's in no hurry. It's like putting the fox in charge of the hen house. So needless to say, the group behind us, if they were in a hurry to get to the next stop, they were out of luck. On a side note, Richard has since gone home to be with the Lord. He and his wife and my mom, all 3 have passed, as well as have at least 3 other members of our tour group that went with us to Israel. But what an absolute joy they all were to be with. And I am just so rewarded to be able to share this trip with you as we do the miracles of Jesus Christ. We're also in the area where Deborah, as I said, lived, and the wicked King Ahab had his palace here. And he brought in a more wicked woman named Jezebel to be his bride. Some of the ruins actually date back to Ahab's time. As I said, it is an overcast day. There's a slight rain. It's the perfect effect for what is going to come in the future during the war in the Valley of Armageddon. This is where the past and the present and the future all knock up together. It is so exciting to be here that I'm getting goosebumps just reminding myself as I recount to all of you what this tour was like. I picked up one of the pamphlets that were there, and because we're in a national park in Israel, we literally could have spent the entire day and more. We could have done 2 days easy in this huge 400-acre national park called Bet Shean. But for whatever reason, our tour guide and our bus driver, the Bennies, only give us about 4 hours here. They had an outdoor picnic area with some stone tables and hundreds of feral cats. These cats were fat. They were well fed by the tourists. The tourism there is year-long, so don't feel bad when I say feral cats, because these cats knew where to go to become a fat cat. In fact, my mom fed them most of her lunch, and I kept going, "Mom, those cats are so fat they're going to burst." But she and Natalie fed them most of their lunch while I read through the pamphlet of Bet Shean. We are in this park of 400 acres, and I want to spell this so that I say it and try to I will spell it correctly so you can look it up for yourselves because there's so much information. But I believe it's pronounced Bet Shean Scythopolis. B-E-T, next word, S-H-E-A-N Next word, Scythopolis. The excavation in this city started in the 1920s. It's a huge city. Major excavations have been going on since 1986, and guess what? They've only dug up 1/10. At least when we were there about 10 years ago, they had only gotten to 1/10 of the area to excavate. That's how big this area is. This is one of the cities that the Israelite tribes never succeeded in taking when God told them to, because they didn't fight hard enough. Remember, we talked about that during our study in Joshua. This is where the Philistine lords displayed the bodies of Saul and his sons after that horrific battle when they beheaded them. And this is the city that was later taken by King David along with Megiddo and was the administrative center of the region during King Solomon's reign. So much to see here. My head spins just remembering. There has been an incredible amount of turbulence in this city. And at one point, there was a devastating earthquake. Look, when you get the time, if you're interested in that kind of history, which I certainly am, look it up. That's why I spelled it for you. It will make your head swirl. This city has changed hands between the Romans, the Jews, the Samaritans, the Gentiles, the Romans, the Jews, the Samaritans, and so on. So often it's hard to keep track of what years it was under what group. As for today, the state of Israel has the city, and with the Antiquities Authority and the Hebrew University, each day brings anticipation for another ancient find. Finally, after we'd rested and Mom fed every cat within 5 miles, we walked to the top of this whole thing. There was a slope we could go up, so it was not so difficult for my mother and the others, and we all went. None of us wanted to miss the sight of the Valley of Armageddon. When we got up there, there's off-limit signs posted everywhere. There are live mines that still sit in that Valley of Armageddon. The book of Revelation, it blows up in your face here. You feel it. The miracle of the seals that we're going to speak of next, very appropriate, again for Maundy Thursday, and just because it is a great miracle that took place in heaven. Revelations 5, verses 1 to 14. And I saw on the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within and on the backside and sealed with 7 seals. I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, "Who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof?" And no man in heaven or earth, neither under the earth, was able to look on the book or to open it. And I wept much, because no man was found worthy to open and read the book, or even to look thereon. And one of the elders says to me, "Weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loosen the 7 seals thereof." And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders stood a lamb as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God, sent forth upon all the earth. And he came, and he took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. The one that sat on the throne is God Almighty, and you know that the Lamb is Christ. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of saints. And they sung a new song, saying, "Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to God by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. And you have made unto us our God, you have made us unto him kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth." And I beheld, and I heard the voice of many angels round about the throne and the beasts and the elders, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000 and thousands of thousands. That's to say, without number, without being able to be counted. And they said with a loud voice, "Worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength, honor and glory and blessing." And every creature which is in heaven and on the earth and under the earth, and such as are in the sea and all that are in land, heard I saying, "Blessing and honor and glory and power be unto him that sits upon the throne and unto the Lamb for ever and ever." And the 4 beasts said, "Amen." And the 24 elders fell down and worshipped him that liveth for ever and ever. Now the words, "I saw on the right hand," suggest authority and power. The scroll was the focus of John's attention in this chapter. The scroll is what Jesus opens in chapter 6, which will bring judgments on the earth, and it comprises almost all of the revelation that will follow. It's so full of words that John can see the words inside on the papyrus and on the outside. This is probably the scroll that Ezekiel 2:10 spoke of when it wrote, "Which he unrolled before me. On both sides of it were written words of lament and mourning and woe." God had sealed it with 7 seals, and the reason is 7 is God's perfect number. Roman law requires that people seal anything 7 times when it's an extremely important document. So when Jesus, so you understand, it's in a roll. When he broke the first seal, a wax seal, compare it to our wax seal, although it was maybe it was the blood of Christ used. I just don't know. He broke the first seal and it unrolled until the second seal. And then Christ had to break the second seal, and then it unrolled until the third seal, and so on. This book may represent the book of prophecies God instructed Daniel to seal until the end of times. You can find that in Daniel 12:4 and 12:9. The opening of the seals is a succession of steps by which God with Christ clears the way for the final opening and reading of the book at the setting up of the kingdom of Christ. And there are some scholars that believe at the very core of this scroll is the book of life mentioned in Revelation 20 and 12. And then one of the elders says, "See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has triumphed." That was in Revelation 5:5. We just read that a little while ago. So what's he talking about? Well, he's talking about the Lion of the tribe of Judah. This refers to Jacob's ancient prophecy when Jacob, the patriarch, died in Egypt all those years ago, and he blessed his sons. When he got to his son named Judah, he said these words in Genesis 49, "Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. He stooped down, he crouched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh come. And unto him shall the gathering of the people be." This visual of Judah as a lion's cub and a crouching lion is Christ, Yeshua, the Messiah. Revelation's comment, the root of David, that's a reference to Isaiah, where it says, "A shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse. From his roots, a branch will bear fruit." Now, Jesse's the father of King David, from whose descendants the Messiah would come. Notice the verb in this sentence where it says, "The Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has triumphed." It's already been accomplished. We serve a God who has finished his war, and the world just doesn't realize it's already been overcome, because Satan, who does know, is the father of lies, and he is not letting the world know that it's a lost cause. This is why we have to know whose we are, who we serve, who has the victory. The Greek verb triumphed is nikeo. It means to win in the face of obstacles, be victorious, conquer, overcome, prevail. Nike shoes get their name from the Greek word for this victory. When Jesus said on the cross, "It is finished," John 19, verse 30, and then he was raised from the dead on the third day, the victory over death and sin was done. It was complete. This is the miracle that Christ has already finished in the opening and revealing of the book. Today we celebrate Maundy, Thursday. We believe this to be the day that Jesus had the last Passover with his disciples, and this is where he also washed their feet in an extraordinary display of humility. And then he commanded them to wash each other's and do the same for each other, to be servants of all. Imagine Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach, already knew the scroll was written. He already knew that he would be the only one that could reveal the wonderful works of God. And still he showed us humble servanthood by washing the feet of those very human disciples. Jesus Christ himself is the world's greatest miracle. May the Lord bless you and keep you and make his face to shine on you. Until we meet tomorrow, for the next tour of Israel. Bye.